Rage on that beat, going crazy.
What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And today we got some pretty cool stuff going on here. I actually just started on this car not too long ago. I've been working on it for a couple weeks now, just lining up panels and stripping the panels down and stuff like that. But I get a lot of questions, not on the YouTube channel, but from people in general, on what do I use to strip like a panel or a hood or a fender or stuff like that, or prep my car out and get it ready for paint. So we're actually going to dive into some stuff on what it takes to actually prep out a car or to strip a car if you've got paint peeling. And we're going to talk about different DAs and sanders and grinders and just different techniques that you can actually do. And these right here sitting out in front of me are some of the options that you have for stripping a car or just sanding a car. And these range from, kind of expensive to really cheap to you need other tools to power these tools. So we're going to jump in. I'm going to save this one for last, and we're actually going to talk about what a DA is. And a DA is actually a orbital, it's what they call a random orbital sander. And this is a random orbital sander, and this one is too. So these are both DAs. The difference is this one is a actual, I think it's a 3/8 DA, which all that means is that's the actual rotation of the balance inside of this. So when you hit the air on this and you push down on it, it's not gonna spin 360 degrees all the time. It oscillates. So it sits there and does this motion right here. This is what we usually use in the body shop for prepping a car. You'll use this for sanding primer. You can use it for sanding mud. You can use it to prep a panel with 600,000. It's a really good DA. It's made by Hutchinson. I've got 2 of these, and this is one of my older ones. I actually dropped it a while back and broke the handle off. I've been trying to get a handle for it, but unfortunately it's on national back order, so it still works. So I use it just at home. This is my home DA, and then I have a work DA. Now this one right here is what they call an orbital and a straight line DA, which pretty much all that means is it'll either orbital sand, or you can actually turn it into a grinder. So it's a 2-part DA, and it's actually pretty cool. I'll show y'all the action on this. So right now it's in orbital sand, and you can see this wheel right here will stop, but this will still spin. And what this DA is actually, it's a really nice DA, and you can get these at Home Depot. I think you can also get them at Harbor Freight. I'm not sure, I can't remember. But what's really cool about this one is it's actually got this pin. You spin it around until you line the pin up, and then you push on it. And what it does is it locks the DA in. It gets rid of the DA, and it makes it just a straight grinder. And we use these in the body shop business for stripping. If you're stripping like a small panel or something like that and you want to get it down to bare metal, this thing is a beast. I mean, you can put some 80 grit on this and you can almost finish a panel just like this hood is right here, all the way down to bare metal, and get all the imperfections out. And then also the really cool thing about it is you switch it back to DA and you can get all your grinding marks out of the panel with the same tool. So it's a 2-in-1 tool. The only bad thing about it is you do have to have an air compressor to power it. It takes a lot of air to keep that thing spinning. And if you don't have at least a 150 gallon tank, you're probably not gonna power it. I mean, we have 2 screw type air compressors at my work, and it powers it pretty good. It keeps it constant. And both those tanks are 150. Here, Richard just has I think it's a 100 gallon tank. So it does struggle a little bit on the air compressor Richard has. And that's just for the fact it doesn't have enough air volume. So as long as you've got over 100 PSI of air running through your air compressor, you should be fine. So those are some of the DAs. Now, if you don't have an air compressor and you want a way to actually still sand your panels, you can go to Harbor Freight and you can actually get this. And this is a really cool tool. This is actually a buffer that Harbor Freight sells, and it's a orbital buffer just like these two, but it's an orbital buffer, and it comes with a 6-inch pad on it, and you just switch it to whether you want stick it or hook it. And it works really good. It's actually what I used to prep this hood after I'd done the strip part of it. And it works really good, and you don't rely on air. So if you don't have an air compressor, this is actually one of your best options right here. And if you actually want a grinder with a 6-inch pad on it, just go get you a regular buffer and change out the pad. I think it's an 8-inch pad or a 10-inch pad. Change it out and put you a 6-inch pad, and it'll take regular sandpaper. That's a really cool option. And then you have an actual straight grinder. And this right here is like your final option. I mean, if you got something that you're wanting to grind down and get ready for mud or get paint off of, this is your grinder. This will be your most abrasive scraper right here. That will actually get down into the metal and really scrape off what you're wanting. These are more just surface goers right here, but they're great for prep and whatever else you're doing. And this one also is adjustable speed, so you can turn it down and do what you need. This is really, if you're just like doing this at home, this is the best one, the electric. But we're talking about this hood right here, and this hood had, I'm not joking you, I'm gonna say probably at least 4 or 5 layers of paint, all the way down to the factory paint. And this is a factory Mustang hood. So we started with some of these tools right here to see if we could actually grind it off and, you know, save from having to do a stripper. And we tried this, didn't have enough air. That just wasn't removing enough material. This is just like really a DA that really sands good. So we went with the idea of actually putting a paint stripper on this. And if anybody knows, paint strippers have changed throughout the years. They don't have the chemicals in them like they used to years ago. And it's kind of unfortunate because, you know, as a body tech or something like that, we don't have the money to go have this thing sandblasted. So our only option is paint stripper. So we use just paint stripper from O'Reilly's. It's the environmentally safe. It's the only one you can get at O'Reilly's. We did actually get the actual petroleum jelly aircraft stripper, and a body tech actually told me a little secret. If you take and put plastic over it after you put the stripper down while it's still wet, it actually helps let the stripper soak down into the panel and get to the material. The only thing about this one is the paint was so thick I had to do it several times. I ended up using a whole gallon of paint stripper to get this hood the way it is. But I'm very happy with it because this way it gives me a good idea of what I need to do, and I don't have to worry about the paint flaking off later on down the road, because I do plan on warrantying what I do to this car. So I want everything to adhere perfect. And yeah, that's actually what we're going to do today. Is we're actually going to get this hood ready, and we're probably going to start wiping some Bondo on this thing. But guys, I just wanted to show y'all some different tools that y'all can use. If you guys have any more questions about where you can get these tools, or any more questions on how they work or what you use them for, please contact us down in the comment section, and we'll try to get back to you as quick as possible. We also do have an Instagram. You can go and follow us at that. It's All Time Performance, all one word, Instagram. And for right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this hood cleaned off. I'm gonna get my corner over here. I got a little bench that I'm gonna put my mud and stuff up on. And we're gonna get this panel cleaned off, and we're actually gonna section it off because it's so hot today, there's no way you can wipe this whole hood in one go. So we're probably gonna do it in sections. We're probably gonna do this section body line to body line. And I've also got some little hammer spots I've got to knock out, some high spots and some low spots I'm gonna try to hammer and dolly out. But guys, stick around. All right guys, so we actually skipped some steps with getting to this point, and I want to kind of catch y'all up. So we've already stripped this panel down to bare metal, and it's pretty much ready for the mud and the repair part of it. Pretty much all you want to do is just prep it out in 80, so that way everything's got a good bite to it. And what we're actually going to do right now is use a little bit of wax and grease, and I'll show y'all why you want to wax and grease. Because you want to get all the dirt and trash and debris. I mean, you can't see it, but there's still a lot of dirt on this, and you want to get it clean so when you go to put your mud down, you don't have to worry about any type of contaminants underneath the mud that's gonna cause a reason for your stuff to not stick. And you can get all this wax and grease and stuff like that at O'Reilly's. I always wear gloves with it because it is kind of abrasive. It's not abrasive enough to remove paint, but it's really good for cleaning. And also when you're doing this, you can really feel all the dents in this thing. I mean, this thing's got dents in it left and right. I really wanted him to get a new hood, but you know, hoods and stuff like that for these cars are pretty expensive. So you just want to wipe it down, and it'll get your rag pretty dirty, so flip it over and just clean the surface some more. Yeah, this thing's covered in dents. But see, that's why you want to clean it off, because you do get a lot of dirt in this bare metal after you've sanded it and everything. Plus contaminants from the factory, if this is a factory hood. I don't know if y'all can see, let me raise the camera up real quick. I don't know if y'all can see, but there's actually some rust spots underneath the factory coating, the E-coating. So that tells me that there was actually contaminants underneath the E-coating in the factory when they painted this thing. Which is normal. You'll get contaminants, especially when they're going through the stamping process and all that. They just don't get them clean all the way. Now your newer cars today, they do pretty good about keeping them really clean. So what we're gonna do next, I'm gonna get rid of these gloves because my hands are freaking just, it's hot today, guys. I think it's like, I want to say like 80 or 90 degrees. So now I got this panel clean. I've got a couple high spots here, and all I want to do is just tap them down where they're flat. And this is a special body hammer. It's got a pick on the end and a flat spot on the other. So you can actually, and it's dished a little bit, so it's higher in the center and then lower on the outside. And you know a panel's clean when your hands, when they do that right there, that panel's clean. I'm having actually trouble with my hands moving over top of this. So what I'll do is I'll actually grab a rag, a clean rag. And if y'all have trouble feeling dents, this will also help you. So it lets your hand glide over a little bit easier. There's a little piece of foam right here. All I'm gonna do is push on the back side right here because I got 3 little dents. Well, 3 high spots. And I'm gonna push against it and use the flat part of the hammer. So pretty much all that does is when you hit the metal without anything behind it, the metal is actually doing what they call a ripple effect, kind of like an ocean. Like if you drop a rock in a water or a bucket of water, what's going to happen is when it hits, it's going to create a wave of reaction off the rock hitting the water. It's the same way with the hood. We just don't see it. If you actually, you know, went down to like a micro scale, every time I hit it, you would actually see the panel do this. So all it does is putting, like, you don't really have to use a block. You can just put pressure behind it. I like these rubber ones because it kind of keeps it from scarring up the underneath of it. Like if you're working on a car that, you know, the underneath of it's already painted. And we're gonna repaint this one, of course, because it's in pretty bad shape. But I still like to use a rubber block because it does impact the, it takes the impact a little bit better than a steel one. But a steel one does still have its place. So I think we can work with those. I'm gonna knock this high spot down real quick. And this hammer is also used for shrinking. That's what the pick's actually for. You're actually meant to put like a hard block behind it. And every time you're hitting it, it's putting a little indentation in it. And what that does is it shrinks the metal and makes it where it's a little bit more rigid and stiff. All that does is like if you have something that's real oil canny, like you've got a dent that's stretched the metal out, it's so you can re-stretch the metal back. So we're good on that spot. I think we got one more high spot over here I'm not gonna be able to get to because of the structure behind it. Knock down that much on this. Because like I said, it come out pretty smooth. But next step is, because we're not gonna try to wipe this whole panel, what I like to do is I like to actually tape them off. And what I do is I find center on the hood, on this body line right here. Right on the money. And also what that'll do is that also I'll be able to really make this line sharp and pronounced. Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wipe this section, and then once this section's done, we're gonna move this section, we're gonna pull this tape up and tape the side that we've already wiped, and we'll do this side. Same thing with this line. Sometimes it's easier to start from this side just because the line's a little bit sharper, but you just want to lay it right on the crest of the line. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to grab some bigger tape, and we'll put some bigger tape along the back side back here. I mean, I guess we don't really have to put it along the back, so we'll just use some of this skinny. And all this will do is when I pull this tape, if I got any Bondo on it, it'll just come right off. That way I don't have to worry about a mess. Alright guys, so that's pretty much going to wrap it up for part one of doing this hood. I'm going to try to break this up into parts just so it's not such a long video. But this pretty much shows you what it takes to get it into Bondo. Yes, it was a hot day, so I was struggling with getting this to lay out smooth. But that's one thing about Bondo. You got to sand it off anyway, so it's easier if you can get it to lay down a lot smoother. It's easier to sand. But stay tuned for part two of this, and if y'all have any questions or suggestions on what I should do, let us know down in the comments. But guys, please hit that subscribe and the bell notification, and we will catch you next time.